building back Tampa, we kind of touched on Westshore. I want to shift to Westshore next and talk about the future, what it could be, and all that sort of stuff. Sounds like that is where a lot of your passion lies moving forward, is transitioning. And I'm sure you're in, like you mentioned today, you're in multiple different markets. But for you, it sounds like Westshore is a big stake in the ground. And it sounds like that's where you really want to make a mark and really want to develop something special there.
Yeah, it's kind of happened. I mean, things that I'm passionate about are varied. I mean, I'm a big community, person. I'm very involved in a number of things. West Shore just happens to be a place where I've aggregated a number of opportunities. I mean, starting with the Austin Center, it just de facto owning that property makes you a player in that space. We bought the AAA Center, which is like that little field, kind of right above it. Then we bought the Urban Center. So, I'm one of the largest private owners of real estate in West Shore from a dollar amount standpoint, and also very knowledgeable about real estate. When you look at the West Shore District, it was the original development area. Downtown was industrial and very, very difficult. And, Ybor had its renaissance kind of a while ago, and it's trying to reinvent itself. Big fans, rooting on Daryl and those guys. I think that has a lot of potential. But like, who's really championing the redevelopment of West Shore?
Right.
People are kind of like, oh, that's already been done. But it's very tired. There's a lot of highways. There's no real pedestrian center. The road's not kept up very well. The streetscapes isn't kept up very well. They're making a lot of progress. Michael Marino, I know, is on, and the Westshore Alliance is they're doing the public art and they're working on a lot of improvements. But it's central. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's all the infrastructure's right here. The airport's right here. And I think there's enough land around there where over the next 15, 20 years, you're going to see a tremendous transformation that you start stringing these things together, right? So, West Shore, Midtown, the Riverwalk, the West River, downtown, Ybor.
Yeah.
I mean, these have all, think about in the last 10 years, how far all these projects have kind of popped up. But we need someone in the West Shore District to really champion that and drive that forward. And, I wouldn't say that I just decided I want to be passionate about West Shore,
Right.
but after being there, my office is there. I spent a lot of time there, looking at the community around there, Lincoln Gardens, Carver City, a lot of history in that neighborhood.
People don't know about it, but yeah, there is a lot of history.
Yeah. It's a proud history. I mean, sad history in a number of ways, but proud history. And, I just happen to be that person with all the knowledge. I know what's going on. I know all the players. I have a vision for what it could be. And I spent a lot of time on it, actually.
This Austin Center is the property north of 275 where Union is, right? This whole office complex. You just said you bought a property behind it or to the north of it?
Just to the north of it. So
that empty
keep zooming
lot.
in. Yeah, zoom in a little bit more. So you see so that lot right at the top of the screen.
Got it.
It's 3 acres right there.
And so total, what do you own on this particular portion of West Shore?
In terms of acreage, 13.5 acres.
13.5 acres. Okay.
So we have 300,000 square feet of office buildings and parking structures here, and then 3 acres up top. And then 3 acres up top, we got it rezoned, so we're approved for, I think it's 360 roughly apartments there.
And in sort of the same way, the sundial, like it is what it is, and it's a great asset, and you don't plan on changing it tomorrow. One day you could go vertical. This is thought of in the same way. Like right now it's office. Maybe one day it's completely scraped and redeveloped into something new.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a certainty. At some point the land value will eclipse the economic value of the buildings.
What do you think West Shore needs in order to fully see this vision? Obviously, you're going to do what you're going to do on your property, right? But in terms of like streetscape, grid connectivity, like what do you think needs to happen there in order for your development in particular to be a success?
It needs to become a walkable center. I mean, when this was all developed, it's very car centric. So you basically have, not literal highways, but I mean, I guess you have one literal highway.
Yeah.
But West Shore, Lois, Boy Scout, those don't feel good to walk across.
Mm-mm.
And there's no real center. And so I think that's ultimately, at some point what you need. And when you think about the transit future, again, I don't know when, but the airport built their, rental car center where the office is down, and then eventually they'll connect along the highway down to the multimodal station. That's kind of where the Charlie's is at the bottom of the screen there. And when you have a transit center that eventually will connect some place to downtown and to the rest of the evolution of that, you got to have a place to go. So I get off of the multimodal station and then I do what?
Then what? Right.
Right. So eventually there needs to be a pedestrian center where people feel comfortable kind of walking around and being in the neighborhood. And I think that there's also a need to, really be thoughtful about the mixes of uses and kind of the programming of it. I mean, we were talking earlier about things are market driven. They're not like what I want it to be.
Right.
So I think there also needs to be a lot of community input, but it starts by laying down a vision. And even if you disagree with the vision, people will start to say, I like this, I don't like this. It helps you evolve. And so I hope, sometime in the relative near future, I'll be able to put out my vision of what Westshore will be.
Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.